Hi, my name is Danielle Chand, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press today. I am so happy to be joined by Danielle Chand. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And I am so excited to chat with you about your work in season one of Elle. But before we get into the new show, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you to pursue this field as a career?
I would say that it came at an early age. I loved um, performing at the school talent show, singing songs. I'd have my stepdad playing guitar on stage while I sing. So probably all my that was my elementary school experience. And then any sort of activities that revolved acting out scenarios. I was always the first one to raise my hand if a teacher needed a volunteer or something like that. Like I was always all over that stuff. Um, Even I could think of like video projects in school, any sort of opportunity where I could get in front of the camera or like just act something out. That was always something I was super drawn to. Um, and then in high school, I was just, I don't know, being my high energy self in French class, and my teacher pulled me aside and she was like, "Hey, like there's improv tryouts today. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "What's improv?" And she like explained a little bit about it, and I was like, "Okay, I'm there." So I went, and then yeah, I spent all of high school on the improv team, and also did the theater company in the last 3 years of high school as well. But yeah, then in university, I kind of took like a different turn. I ended up doing a communications degree at SFU. Um, but there was something that I was just kind of thinking about acting. I don't know if it was coming to the end of my bachelor's and thinking about what's next. And I knew I wanted to do other school after graduating, but I didn't know what it was. I was thinking of doing my master's. There was a lot of things that were going on. But I did take a part-time acting class in my last semester at SFU, just at Vancouver Acting Studio, or sorry, Vancouver Acting School, and it was the highlight of my week. So after I graduated, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just enroll in the school because I love it so much. Um, yeah, that's how I got into it.
It's really nice to kind of see that progression starting from when you were young and you were probably such a joy for your arts teachers to because you were always wanting to be involved and like doing the improv and everything. So tell me a bit about, communications because I almost feel like there can be some transferable skills in there. So between that and Vancouver Acting School, what were the key lessons you took away from those studies?
Yeah, I would say that um, at SFU, I loved always learning. Like communications was a really rewarding and interesting major because we were just learning about the world around us and how it operates and the powers that make the world operate the way that it does. And it was just like a very inspiring major. It taught me voice. It taught me to express myself. A lot of lectures we were talking about our own ideas. Like they really encouraged that. And yeah, in acting school, it was it was a little bit more individual than like everyone kind of being together. Like we were in the first like in the film television voiceover program. That one was way more individually focused. There were like scene study classes, but it wasn't until the theater conservatory where we all worked as an ensemble and we all like put up 4 plays at the end of the school year. Um, both school experiences really taught me just to be super disciplined and things, go really fast. And yeah,
How would you say you continue to grow your skill set and performing experience after graduation?
yeah, I still train at an acting studio, Deb Podowski Acting Studio. And yeah, I do scene study classes there. I love doing it. She always gives me different types of scenes, and each scene always has like something new that I want to work on. So that always just keeps me on my toes. Yeah.
I know that you were part of a dinner theater show. So what can you share about that?
Oh, Tony and Tina's wedding. Yeah, that was a really fun. That was a really fun production. Yeah, so Tony and Tina's wedding, all the guests or all the people that buy tickets to the show are guests to the wedding. So it's interactive theater. I was one of the bridesmaids, and there wasn't like a full script, but it was a storyline. So this cue has to happen, this cue has to happen, this cue has to happen. So in between all of those cues, we were just out in the audience interacting with people. So I was walking up to people being like, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen you. If I knew that there was drama going on, I would be like, oh my gosh, like look at them, like they're flirting. Um, I had some like wacky things in my purse just to like make people laugh, and I would like accidentally drop my purse on the table, or it was just like it was really fun. Um yeah, that was my first and actually only show that I had done um in like not school related, because I did a bunch of plays in high school, did a lot of plays at Vancouver acting school, but that show was just independent theater, just because I just wanted to do it because it sounded fun.
It sounds like a really cool experience and also making use of, that improv background and getting to do that as an adult now that you're kind of done your schooling. So maybe would you be up to doing it again in the future?
Oh my gosh, I would totally like to get back on stage and do something like that. Right now, I think I am trying to focus more on TV and film. But if there's a really cool opportunity that just like happens and it's the right time, then I would definitely do that.
For sure. And we'll talk about film and TV now with your current project, which is Elle. And I will note to all those watching that we are discussing season one spoilers. So please make sure you have finished all 8 episodes before continuing our interview.
Mm.
Congratulations, though, because this is your debut TV role. Fantastic as Shannon. What can you share about your audition process for Elle?
I my audition process was very typical. I got an email about an audition. It had a code name. I was at work at the time. I like checked my phone. I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, put it away and like go back to doing my job. And then it wasn't until after I finished work, I just sat down. I opened my phone. I was like, okay, let's check out this audition. And then in the description, it says, might be a good idea to watch the Legally Blonde movie. And I was like, huh? What is this? What is this? And then I read that it was a prequel series, and I was like, okay, so I turn on Legally Blonde movie right away. And then I start learning a little bit more about my character Shannon and who she is, what she represents. Um, and then I just started going in and like trying to figure out like fill in all the blanks. Whenever you get an audition, like you only get a little bit about the character. Okay, so she's energetic, or she's cheerful, or she's the sunshine in rainy Seattle. And but this is her boyfriend, this is her best friend, this is the committee that she's on, this is what she wants. Like you have to fill in so many other things to embody a character. So that's all. I don't think I had ever worked so hard on an audition, because I was like, this is my first big really audition. My first big my first big my first really big auditions. It was my first really big audition, and I just wanted to do a really good job. So yeah, I wrote down my backstory. Um, I got another actor, a coach, to just help me just break down the script and just really work on it. I really wanted to just put my best foot forward. And yeah, 2 days later or a day later, um, my agent calls me saying that they're going to send my tape to LA, and I was like, oh, never gotten that far before. That's crazy. Okay, okay, cool. Everybody, be chill. I mean, I live life normally. Like if I don't get the role, like that's okay. This is a big milestone, and yeah. And then 2 days later, after that, my agent calls me again, and they're like, "Yeah, they want to do a Zoom call back with you." And at the time, it was 10 a.m., and I had just opened the restaurant, or I walked into the restaurant that I was soon going to be opening, and I had said hi to my managers, and then talked to my agent, and then came back out to my managers and was like, "I have to go, like soon." Because they want to do an audition at 2:30 and it's 10 a.m. And they were like, "Yeah, we'll call someone in to cover your shift." So they did, and then I did the callback, and that night I got the news.
I'm glad that the restaurant that you worked at was understanding, but I can tell that it's something that you really wanted. So, you're doing the research, you're putting in the legwork and asking those questions. Before you knew that this was related to Legally Blonde, like what was your knowledge of the franchise and what can you say about its legacy today and getting to be a part of it?
Yeah, I loved watching the movies. I remember watching the movies growing up. I can't remember the specific time that I did, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere during high school. Um, and I love the movie, and I'll watch it again and again. I think it's timeless. It was ahead of its time when it was created, and it's funny, and it's also really heartfelt. So it's an honor to be a part of that. I had no idea that that was what my first booking was going to be at all. And there was, when I first booked it, I was like, okay, this is a big shoes to fill. And I freaked out a little bit, and then I was like, okay, let's just go back to what the story is about and honor it. So that's what I did.
And there's so many like iconic lines in the movie. And speaking of iconic lines, I think you have one in this series as well, which is the I am a feminist, which means I support women's rights and women's wrongs, which are so
Yeah.
expertly delivered. Can you expand on how you shaped Shannon Walker? And did you have conversations with any of the creative team as well to help inform your performance across the episodes?
It's really funny because when reading a script and when being on set and and just like, filming the scene, I didn't know that was going to be an iconic line. But when the clip came out, all of my friends on Instagram started being like, "Oh, you support both feminist rights and and women's rights and women's wrongs," and I'm like, "Wait, that's so funny! Like, okay, cool, an iconic line, me what?" Um, yeah, so that was something that I wasn't expecting, which was so cool. Um, and yeah, I did talk about Shannon Walker and her character and where they wanted her character to go in the story, and um, I guess sat down with a couple different directors um, because they did block shooting, so each director had 2 episodes to shoot, and then it would move on to another director. So in total, we had 4 directors, and yeah, I sat down with Jason, Pete, Sammy, um, and we all just talked about those specific episodes and where we wanted to go. I do remember sitting down with Pete specifically, just talking about the Shannon Miles scene. I found that really helpful because it's a really big emotional scene in the in Rainforest Cafe, and I also it was my first time doing something like this, so getting input, I was all for getting input. Like whenever someone had any sort of input, I was like, yes, please. Um, like of course I trust myself in my work and my interpretation of the scene, but also like there's so many different ways that a script can go, and there is a story to tell, and ultimately the directors have a vision, and I obviously want to honor that.
For sure. And like with respect to Shannon, how would you describe her as a person?
Um, I think because it was said so often, Shannon is the sunshine in rainy Seattle. Um, but another way to say it is Shannon's a friend that you would want in your corner. Just will just do anything for you and will always show up for you.
And aside from being like a sunshine, like I will say, she is very like kind and empathetic, and that's something that you don't see from a lot of these characters, at least early on, until you get to kind of peel back those layers. When Elle arrives, we are told that Shannon's father lives in Denver, along with many of her other relatives. So, with that knowledge, like how did you interpret her upbringing and relationship with her mother, Robin?
Yeah, so her and her mom have a really close relationship. Definitely her mom's biggest fan and supporter, being at the book reading and just like being so excited for her, even like putting her book in the gift basket. I was like, that's my mom. um, and then as for her dad living in Denver, um, I think her parents, they just, they were together for a period of time and it just didn't work out. And I think Shannon is a lot happier with her family being separated, like dad and mom not being together. Um, and of course, her living with her mom, they just have like this really close connection, which is why what happens to her mom is just heartbreaking and why she ends up moving with her dad, of course, with all the other things going on too, because high school drama, it feels like the end of the world.
There are definitely a lot of things in high school that happen that seem more heightened than they are maybe when you move past that into adulthood. So we'll talk about that drama, and of course with her mother. But before that, Shannon and Elle, they quickly form a friendship and bond despite Shannon's other social circle and her friendship with Kimberly. Tell me about that connection with Elle and what those first impressions were of her.
Um, I think that Shannon is really fascinated by Elle. I also think that she wasn't like fully taken off guard from Elle's whole thing, who she like being so pink and just being blonde and all these things because Shannon's into fashion and she did just do an internship at FIT, so it's not like this is of course like Elle is this this new person in this environment, but she was just kind of ready to be like, okay, like I heard a lot of stuff about this girl and I want to see her for myself and I want to get to know her. So Shannon was just really excited to get to know her. And when they bond right away about days of our lives and just fashion, in my mind, I kind of felt like Shannon was, if she walked through, or like if Elle walked through a time warp into Seattle, like her clothes would then become like Shannon's clothes because they were both so fashionable, but in such different ways.
I like how you describe that. And another thing that Elle mentions about Shannon is she's non-judgmental. Like, she doesn't judge her for her fashion choices or how she might be, a bit more LA, as everyone says. The book signing, the book reading was such an interesting scene. Can you take me through Eva's comments to Robin after the signing? And what did Shannon and her mom think of Eva's comparison to her husband's botched nose job?
Um, so I like on set when we were doing that scene with June and Elle, every single time we would just kind of like look at each other and be like, "She said what?" Like and I was just kind of like, "Mom, like, is there a part in the book where did I miss a part in the book where like where did this come from?" We did like a lot of different takes of that, but I think part of Shannon and Robin's whole thing is trying not to like not thinking that we're better than anyone or always just like trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. So it was never any sort of like negative emotions or negative feelings of receiving that, but just more so like that's an odd takeaway, but they're not from here. And who knows, maybe they were just nervous or like it was more so giving the benefit of the doubt.
I think that those characters like Shannon and her mother and Robin, they give a lot of grace. So I just thought that you and Sharon were great, well in character because you could see that calmness and confusion. But June was also fantastic in that scene. So it must
Yeah.
have been like, as an actor, you're in character, but as Danielle, was it like kind of hard to stifle any laughter you might have felt just because it was such a bizarre thing to compare it to?
Every scene with June that I did, I was trying not to laugh because she is just so funny. Like even in hair and makeup trailer, like she was making me laugh. Like it was, yes, yes. So I was also just in awe because she was just like so in character. I think that was like my second day on set, that bookstore scene. So I was just like, whoa, she's so good. But she's just so funny and it just made me want to commit to the bit even more. Just to be like, okay, let's make this super good.
Learning a lot on set as well, I'm sure.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
mentioned Shannon and Miles. Now, we didn't get to know them as a couple, but it said that they were together for 2 years. Did you and Jacob ever discuss what your characters shared? And in your eyes, like what attracted Shannon to Miles, and how did their relationship change leading to her choice 2 years down the road to separate?
Yeah, I would say that because me and Jacob did sit down, and we went to a coffee shop and we just like discussed our relationship because we were like, hey, it's like it's 2 years and like that's like a lot of time and that's a lot of time for adults, but it's like way more time for kids in high school. So we did talk about what our relationship looked like what were our dates like, who was more like planning the dates, and who was Shannon to Miles and who was Miles to Shannon. And yeah, we created an entire relationship just because even like at the time, like, and I'm still with him now, but like at the time when I was talking about a 2 year long relationship, I was with my boyfriend for 2 years at that point. So I was like, yeah, there's like this familiarity that we really need to build. So part of the coffee shop was just talking about where like, our own lives and our journeys into acting and we learned about each other and our families. Like we just wanted to be super comfortable with each other so we could be a couple of 2 years on set.
And it's so important to kind of be present in those moments. And like you mentioned, that familiarity, building that connection. So how would you say the relationship changed, especially later on, she knows that Elle was kind of a bit of a catalyst to that. But I like that she also made the decision that, okay, something's not working here. And it was her decision to kind of take that break or separate.
Yeah, yeah, I think she just came back. Well, she just came back from this internship at FIT, and I think she's just really thinking about her future and what that's going to look like. And she wants to like she's a dreamer. She wants to follow her dreams. She wants to pursue fashion. I like she wants to travel. I'm sure she wants to go to Milan. I'm sure that she has like all of these plans for herself and like just doesn't have the capacity to figure out how to blend her relationship with Miles and her future that she like desires to have. Um, so that's why she ultimately does end the relationship. Um, of course, she quickly regrets that. Um, but that was kind of that was a part of the dynamic that me and Jacob talked about was like they were really just, yes, they were together, but they were each other's just best friends. and they were always just there for each other when either of them needed each other. So,
And you can still have a lot of love for someone, but I think, in that moment, like you mentioned, she made the choice, and it's like you sacrifice that relationship and maybe hope that something might happen in the future. But at this point in time, like you mentioned, she's a senior, she has all these big dreams. And they've known each other since they were kids, I think it was mentioned as well. So they grew up together. So did Shannon and Kimberly. They have a long-standing friendship that we also aren't privy to the beginnings of, but can you expand on their friendship despite their seemingly clashing personalities at times?
I think it's the classic. Yeah, they grew up together, and I think Shannon has just seen her home life and just empathizes so much with just the fact that her parents are not there. Like they're just not there for her in the way that a kid really needs her parents to be. And I think that's why they became so close. I think that's why they got so immersed in fashion, because they were reading all the magazines. And even in my prep work, I was trying to think of activities that what Shannon and Kimberly loved to do. And one of them was just sitting in the bed, reading magazines and just laughing and just being totally safe to just be themselves. And then yeah, she is Kim has a very hard exterior. I don't experience that because I've peeled back the layers. I know exactly who she is, and she feels safe with me. And I definitely, Shannon's not naive. Like she knows that Kim has that hard exterior. I'm sure in the story or in Kim, if there was more scenes with Kim and Shannon, it would be like, girl, that was hard. Or what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And not in a way of condemning her, but just being like, okay, this is just okay, this is who you are. I understand. Um, and yeah, so if that makes any sense.
No, completely. And that takes me back to a scene, in the gym when Kimberly says she'll help with the pep rally and that doesn't go as planned. And you can see that Shannon is disappointed in her. And I feel like maybe Kimberly took some of those words to heart coming from her best friend. But I think Kim mentions to Elle that she did confide in Shannon about her sexuality and what she had with Liz at camp. So again, we don't get to see those one-on-one scenes, but we know that they are very close.
Mhm.
One of my favorite scenes was between you and Lexi in episode 4 at Shannon's favorite spot overlooking Mount Rainier. Can you take me through that scene in character and how it was to film opposite Lexi?
That was a really fun day. We actually filmed the coffee shop scene and that Mount Rainier day Mount Rainier scene on the same day. So that entire day was just so much fun. Um, Lots of Lexi time, which was awesome because she's so fun to work with and just be around. But yeah, when we got to the location, um, like it was of course, I'm local, so I knew exactly where we were going. And we were given those frappuccinos with the whipped cream, and it was just a really fun. We were just sitting on the car, um, like and we were just. I ate so much whipped cream that day. It was just so fun and silly, and um, it was just really me and Lexi were still getting to know each other. So it was just really beautiful that at the same time as Elle and Shannon are connecting, me and Lexi were also connecting. And it was just yeah, really, really fun. A really fun scene.
Episode 5, very emotional one. First off, can you take me through the loss of Shannon's mother and putting forward a strong front at school and at the memorial?
Yeah, I mean the way the way that Shannon dealt with something like that was very resilient. Like she didn't take a bunch of time off of school. She just like wanted to try to go back to business as usual because when something traumatic like that happens, you just have to go back to what you know. Like you just got to go back to, okay, I'm just gonna like get ready and go to school and like just try to figure this all out. Um, and honestly, like that's kind of how if something happens to me personally, that's also how I try to deal with things. I try to just like go as business as usual. So yeah, Shannon was putting up a really strong front, but I think she really needed to do that for herself because that was so intense. She lost her mom.
So Miles then confesses to his and Elle's kiss. What are those immediate raw emotions for Shannon? And was she thinking back to any interactions or signs between the two that she missed?
Um, yeah, that was there. We did like a lot of different takes of that, and I tried to like play around with different things. Um, I still don't know. I haven't watched it, so I don't actually know which version they went with. But um, like the first initial one that I thought was just kind of like, what? Like just kind of confused or like is it? And then another version was like, well, not just like versions, but like there was confusion, there was instant devastation, betrayal, like a lot of betrayal. Um, I think that like when one thing bad happens to you, that's one thing. When another thing happens to you, or like three things, you're like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what is the world trying to do to me right now? Like, why is it testing me? Why is it putting me through all of this? So there was also just a lot of like, oh, like of course, because the worst thing has happened to me, but let's just add a cherry on top. So there was a lot of just frustration and just being like, why is this my life and why is this happening? And also, stupid boys, why tell me here? Like, why? Like that is, huh? Like Um, I remember reading the whole entire cast was talking about this scene, and they were like, "Yeah, Miles isn't gonna look good. Like Miles isn't gonna look good. Like why is he doing it here?" But the kids.
Definitely lacking like that situational awareness, especially at that moment. But when I saw the scene and she kind of, maybe Shannon's thinking back, like there was the pool party where Miles and Elle shared a conversation. I'm not sure if she was aware of that, or the coffee shop when Elle was acting kind of weird. And what I liked was the importance of, I know you haven't seen the final cut yet, but Shannon was drawing the boundaries when she says she doesn't want to see Miles or Elle again, because you could see that it was heartbreaking for her. And I'm not sure if this would have made a difference, like you said, betrayal either way, but Miles does say that he kissed Elle, but viewers know that she was the one that kind of initiated it. So then I'm sure like the girl code comes into play. Do you have any thoughts on if that made a difference, or was she just basically heartbroken over the entire situation between them?
I think that yes, girl code was broken, but Shannon and Miles have known each other for like their entire lives. So I think really the betrayal is, okay, yeah, we're not together, but we were best friends. Um and we just broke up. Like well it's also like it'd be kind of jarring if like you break up with someone and like we also talked about how that breakup went, like because that wasn't on screen. So we were like, hey, like how did the breakup go? Um And of course, like we both were like, yeah, like we were both really sad, but like we felt like it was the right thing to do. Um, and I think there was like, I feel like I can't fully remember if me and Jacob did land on this, but like if Miles did try to like reconcile or be like, no, like can we try something else? Like it would, or if it was just okay, let's just call it. I would say that like the betrayal was more with Miles than with Elle. Of course, this was a new friendship, so she was obviously devastated. But the betrayal is more like, okay, we're friends. Like this is ridiculous. I can't believe. And there's something to be said about like you break up with someone and then they're the ones to like move on first. Like like okay, yes, I did the breaking up, but I wasn't fully ready just to know that you're just out here kissing everybody and or like kissing like the one person that I actually really vibe with. Like there was even things that I thought about like I was probably talking to Miles about Elle and how I did like her so much and how she was so fashionable because she's a new friend. So of course I'm going to tell my boyfriend about how amazing I think she is. So there's also all of that where it's like, oh my God, I literally like told you how amazing she was, and then you kissed her. Mm, okay.
Yeah, like Shannon really didn't see that coming. And
No.
she does say, we were broken up for like 5 minutes because it's true. It was so fresh and you don't expect that to happen so soon after. How was Jacob as a scene partner in that specific moment, like you said, in Rainforest Cafe?
Jacob was a great scene partner. Like he always wanted to rehearse and he always wanted to talk about the scene and just like make it make sense, which is like perfect because I'm that type of person as well, where I'm like, hey, we got to fill in all the blanks. And he was really, really easy to work with. Um, and just a trooper because I'm just out there yelling at him and crying and just being like, wow. And then he was just like taking it all. So he was a real champ with all of that.
But to be fair, Miles did deserve all of that
Mm-hmm.
anger being thrown at him.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
And yeah, it was such a vulnerable moment. And I love that despite all of that, she also tells Miles to thank Elle for her help with the memorial, even though she's still so angry and disappointed. And then it is revealed kind of off screen that Shannon moved back to Denver to be with her
Hmm.
dad. Can you tell me about that decision? And was there any possibility of her staying in Seattle?
I think there is definitely like a version of the story where Shannon could have stayed, but honestly, like with her losing a parent, I just don't think that it would really make sense for her to like be in that house without her mom there, or like or if her dad moved to Seattle and tried to raise her there. Like I think she just needed a full reset and just cleanse from Seattle. Obviously, in her own way, she missed Seattle and came back. But I do think that it made a lot of sense for her to move away and be with her dad because kind of starting from ground zero, what's my life gonna look like now that I don't have my mom and I'm not as close with my dad. And like, how am I supposed to now live with him? Okay, let's try and figure this out. Like, I think it made sense. I think it really did make sense for the story for Shannon to leave.
And then obviously Miles and Elle. Do you think that that played into the sudden move as well? That maybe she could have stayed a bit longer at least, but when that happened, she really just wanted to get out as quickly as she could.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Because um, she doesn't really have her support system anymore. Um, her new friend and her boyfriend in Shannon's mind is like, yeah, they're gonna go and date and be in love and be happy forever. And I don't really want to see that. Um, I think, of course, like leaving Kimberly is really hard for her because that's her best friend. Um, but I think Shannon just needed to kind of cut the ties for a second there, not because she doesn't love her best friend, but just because she just needs to figure out this new chapter in her life.
Definitely needing that space, which is so
Mhm.
important in times like these as well. We do see a new darker side to her when she returns to tie up loose ends and reveals Elle's Cosmo winning essay to the school. Can you expand on that move for her and the intent behind it?
Yeah, the revenge arc. Um, yeah. Um, well, it was a really fun scene to film because like when do you ever get to like do something like that where when you're in a cafeteria and like you turn off the radio and you're just like I'm gonna destroy your life now because you destroyed mine. um it was a really fun it was a fun scene to film, but I think Shannon in her own way like wanted to like just like missed Seattle, which was why she was coming back. But then like um I think it was like at the airport she picked up the magazine and started reading it, and she was like, oh, new now I'm going to Seattle for a new reason and I want to tell everybody. um yeah, yeah, she that was I think Shannon kind of just like needed that. I think it was very misplaced. I mean, they talk about that in the airport. Like some of that anger is misplaced. Um, but it's high school and she lost her mom and like I like think like the big feelings of, being a teenager, grappling something like that type of loss at such a young age. Um, it's just, yeah.
I thought that the revenge arc, I mean, it was kind of short-lived, but it was nice to kind of play this different side of her. Do you think Shannon was aware of the extent of Elle's work to uncover the fraud and illegal activity at the school, which involved those missing stop signs at the intersection of her mom's accident?
It was never addressed. Um, I be like because there was no like really scenes about that or any sort of conversation of me thanking Elle about the stop signs, because that was related to if there was a stop sign, then maybe my mom would still be there. Like there was no discussion about that, so I don't think I really know. Like and my in my mind, I think that Shannon moved to Denver and didn't take Kimberly's calls or just like kept things really short or like or was like I don't want to talk about Elle at all. Like I mean, there also could be a world where Kim was like, hey, like I just want to tell you like this is what Elle's doing, and then me being like, nope, won't be hearing about her, won't be hearing about Miles. I don't want to hear about any of it. And yeah.
I think that's a completely like valid response to have and would make a lot of sense because you would think that maybe, Shannon is a person that would mean something to her, but she just wasn't aware of it. And this is all kind of happening when she's probably trying to get, settled in Denver and kind of bridge that relationship with her dad and her family over there. But you mentioned the airport conversation that Shannon and Elle share where they do both apologize to each other. Can you take me through that interaction from Shannon's eyes and between the cafeteria and now, what about the situation has changed for her perspective?
Um, I think well, Shannon is a very like kind-hearted person. Like just like to her core, like she doesn't want to hurt anybody. And she was just really, really hurting. So I think the reason why the airport scene exists is because Shannon just felt really bad. And to her core is just a really nice person. And she just was like realizing in like real time that like that wasn't like she didn't feel better. And I think in the scene that's what she says. She's like, I thought I would feel better, but I didn't. And obviously it's because it's not gonna bring her mom back. It's not gonna get her boyfriend back. Her old life is gone. Like she did that and she was like, there was no reward. She just ended up feeling bad about herself and not living true to herself, which is just being that heart on her sleeve, benefit of the doubt type of person that she is.
And she does say to Elle that she was mad at herself for breaking up with Miles and, at the universe. So all these things compounded together. But I feel like at the end of the day, Shannon was the bigger person in the situation. And without saying so explicitly, she does kind of give her blessing to Elle for her and Miles to explore whatever it is they might have. So, can you tell me a bit about that and maybe that choice of letting him go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer on, just because Shannon and Miles didn't work out, Shannon does have a lot of love for Miles and ultimately does just want him to be happy. Um, Definitely stung, but you know, Shannon's going back to Denver. Like she's not going to be there to have to like watch it unfold. So I think that was probably also it was probably easier for her to give that blessing because she wasn't going to be there to see it. Um, but that's just like it's very Shannon coded of just wanting to be like the best friend that she can possibly be, even though she is literally at her worst.
And recognizing that life has to move on.
Hmm.
Have you closed the book on Shannon's chapter in Elle, or would you be keen on returning if given the opportunity to do so? Like, what are your hopes for this character after we leave her in season one?
I would love for Shannon to make a return. I think that, um, yeah, I think it would like they're at the end of the day, like her and Kim are best friends. Like I definitely see like maybe like Kimberly like graduating or like maybe Kim having a birthday. Um, like season one takes place. I think it's the months of like September to November, December, or something like that. Like it. So I think season two is probably going to be another like 4 months. So there's even like an opportunity for like summer, summer vacation, summer going back to Seattle, or like there could be, or even just like phone call scenes or something like that. Like I would definitely love to um, bring Shannon back. Um, because it was really fun and she was a really really fun character to do and even working with the cast again would be a dream come true.
Well, we do know that the show was renewed for season two already and did actually film. And I know you can't say anything, but hey, you are in Vancouver, so
Hmm.
let's hope that we got to see Shannon pop up again. How was it to create and find Shannon's style with hair, makeup, and wardrobe team? And how would you describe it?
There, what was so funny is before like the first vision of Shannon, they were actually wanting her to be more of like a flower child. They wanted her to have the flowiest skirts and like butterfly clips and like I like I think we ended up doing like 3 or 4 different hair and makeup tests. Like we did a lot because there were like I have so many like pictures on my phone of like the things that like we thought like Shannon's clothes or Shannon's aesthetic was gonna be. And then they ended up switching and making her just like a grunge version of Elle, which was like wearing like the plaid skirts and like the leggings, but like instead of heels, it's like these platform boots and like and instead of glitter, it's like eyeliner. So that was really fun to play around. We even put like wigs on. Like we didn't know like we they were just playing around with everything, and it was really fun. Like it was just like it was so fun. I was like, oh, what am I gonna like? If I was gonna wear a wig, like that would have been really fun to dive into because I've never worn a wig. So that would have been fun. Or like it was just they were really putting like a lot of thought into it, and I really appreciated that.
It's always fun to kind of go into hair makeup and then not know what to expect for the day. But I'm glad you kind of settled on this look for her. She always had her choker on. Did you get to take anything of her wardrobe back once you were done filming season one?
I should have just asked, or just maybe like I should have just asked if I could take her choker. I didn't take a single thing. I didn't take a single thing, and I know it's like so weird to say. I just like didn't. I just felt like I just kind of felt too shy to do so, I think. But I did take my little in all the chairs on set, it has like all of your names. So I did take my, it was like it's in bright hot pink and it says Shannon on it. So I do have that hanging up in my house.
That's a nice memento to
Yeah,
have for,
yeah.
your character, of course, and to
Hmm.
commemorate, your first film, TV, big TV set. Do you have a favorite memory or two from working with the cast and crew in season one?
The honestly, like the homecoming day was really fun. Um, Lexi was like playing was playing guitar in the tent. I actually have like a video on my phone. And I was like looking at this video of her like singing and like playing guitar, and I remember that. I was like, oh, that's so fun. That was like just such a nice moment. Also the homecoming day. I think it was it 2 days or was it 3 days? I can't remember now. I think it was two. In one of the days, all of Crafty had gluten-free pastries. Like the entire pastry side of Crafty, all of the pastries were from a gluten-free bakery. And I'm celiac, so I was in heaven because I never get like the one really annoying thing about celiac disease is that there's no accessibility for like food really. So all of a sudden I was like able to eat everything. So I just remember like being in the tent and like Lexi's playing guitar and I'm just like eating a croissant and then taking a bite of a muffin and there's some banana bread. Like I took a like Crafty literally was like, I'm so happy this is happening for you. Here's a box, take some home. Yeah.
You were like, give me one of everything, please.
Hmm. Yeah. And they were like, no, please go for it. And I'm like, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take this. And they
And
were
then
like,
at
go
the
for
end,
it.
it's like the end of the day, you go back and there's still some. You're like, I'm just gonna take a bit more here and there.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they told me to go full like free reign, so I was like, okay. All I ate was pastries that day, and it was amazing.
Was it cool to also be filming in your backyard, at all these locations you might have like gone by before? I know Central Park
Hmm.
in Burnaby was the racing and homecoming. So how much fun was it to kind of, be at all these local locations?
Oh, it was like so nice. I mean, even like Burnaby Mountain was like was Mount Rainier, so it was just like I've been up there so many times. I I went to SFU, but also like that was like the area that I grew up in. And was in for like all of university. So I just remember like being up there and being like, oh, this is nice. Like I know exactly where I am. And then there was also like places that I had never been before, which was cool too. There was like the coffee shop and the bookstore. And I drove past that bookstore not long ago. Um, and I was like, I remember you. Like that, it's just like nice little Easter eggs for myself, being like, oh yeah, that place. I've been there.
Yeah, nice little, memories to have
Hmm.
now to associate with. And as your first big production, I'm sure you learned a lot about the behind the scenes, what goes into an 8 episode series, but also some of your castmates have been acting for a number of years. So did you get to pick up any tips or tricks from them while filming scenes?
I would say that like me, like Shannon and Kimberly were like, besties, but Chandler and I became really fast friends, and Chandler had or has loads of experience. So I was just kind of like, I was just asking her all the questions, and she was just being like super helpful, and she was definitely like the person I would go to for like anything related or unrelated. Like we were always like chit chatting and just like and having a great time on set. But yeah, she would whenever I needed advice, like she was there. So it was nice to have someone um, with a bunch of experience, just to kind of keep me a little bit more grounded. I even like thanked her mom at the premiere after party. I was like, "Your daughter was like a guide for me, and I'm just so grateful that she was there."
That's so sweet. And I know you got to reunite with a lot of the cast in New York. There was like that little video footage before photo, and they were excited to see you there as well. What did you learn about yourself as an actor through playing Shannon?
I think yeah, I was honestly since it was my first booking, I was just really thrown into the deep end, and um, the only option was to swim and just be not just swim, but like I wanted to be an Olympic level swimmer of like I'm going to do the best that I can, and just honor this story. I really learned just to trust myself and just trust the process. Because yeah, I was like super nervous at first, but then I was just like, no, this is like such a dream. Like this is such a dream come true, and let's just have the most fun with it. I'm a person that like worries so much, like about everything, and um, the comfortability that I felt on set was really like just a huge reward for me because I don't like that doesn't happen for me in every single area of life. um I'm an extrovert, but like my anxiety kind of goes outwards. Some people with anxiety, they go inwards. I'm the opposite. We're all just like talk and talk and talk and like everyone's like, what do you mean you're anxious? You're so talkative. And I'm like, yeah, that's because that's because I don't want silence. So yeah, it was just nice to feel comfortable on set.
Well, I'm glad that it was a safe space for you and you were so wonderful in the role. So, congratulations on Elle. I have one more question for you, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Okay, so oh my gosh. Um I think I think that there is this ice cream flavor um, that me and my mom would buy at the store all the time, called Death by Chocolate. And it had nuts. It was like a milk chocolate, dark chocolate moment with like nuts, but had some white chocolate pieces. And it was just like every single bite was just so good. And like, yeah, I'm a multifaceted girl. I have different I have different layers and different textures and different flavors sometimes. So I think that, yeah, death by chocolate because there's like a lot going on, and I have a lot going on.
Perfect answer. I love it. Thank you so much, Danielle, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was like honestly so much fun to do. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, and hopefully we can catch up in the future. But until then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Danielle as Shannon Walker in Elle. Season 1 is out on Amazon Prime Video, and we will see you next time.
Bye.